Okay, we're getting ready to fire up the second of these 108s. I've got this hooked up. The monitor I've got doesn't seem to be working, so I don't know what the deal is with that. But I've got this ye old CRT TV hooked up to it, and you probably could use a monitor or anything else, but for now we'll just put it on here. And it's fired up, see what happens here. So I'm gonna fire the camera up first. Sound like it fired up. I'm gonna turn on the TV here. Maybe. There it comes. And look there. There's a picture of me. Set straight. Oops. Set it straight. So I'll frame up a little bit. Side here. You're right in the center there. And there's your framing guide. So yeah, pretty cool. Zoom out. I've zoomed out about as far as I can. I've got the camera kind of close because I've got wires and I haven't really got an extension cord to pull it back there yet. But you can zoom it in. And it gets a little out of focus here when you get to what is that about? Yeah, that's 150 there. But yeah, looks like everything is working on it. Camera from what I understand. All right, first of all, we've got this little remote control here that can, see if you can get that in. It shows pan, tilt, zoom, has a couple other buttons, double exposure or exposure button. So let's take a picture. So, the monitor goes dark, the camera runs, and there we go, and we're back. Okay, and there's the lens for this thing. It's a 150 or a 50 to 150 millimeter lens. And this lens was made by the same company that made the actual camera, or not made the camera, manufactured the camera. The camera was designed by Olan Mills, engineers, and then taken to Japan to be actually manufactured. But yeah, so anyway, this is the power pack for it. This is where electricity comes in, and of course, and some of the camera control. You got camera control, stand control. This is where you also hook up the remote, and you sync in the strobe here too. So that's what that is. There's also a place for a computer. I never had a computer in my days, so I'm not sure. I'm going to check with one of the designers of this camera. I actually am in contact with him and see what he has to say about it. But yeah, I'm not sure. He's mentioned the computer before, but I don't know exactly what that does. So anyway, over here on this side of the camera, we have, this is where the film cartridges go. This is the take-up reel. And this is the actual film. This one actually has some film in it. I'm not really worried about ruining this film or anything because, first of all, it's fine like this. It's inside the magazine, but it's from 2007, so I doubt it's probably real good anyway. Looks like this one was last serviced around 2000. So a DM, maybe that was me, David. No, I didn't service them. So anyway, back here is a keypad for the 108, and this is kind of a duplicate of the remote control. So if your remote control went bad, you could still shoot. Kind of a redundant system. But it also has a couple of extra little buttons that you don't have in the remote control, like the reset, film cut, film load, those kind of things. So basically, the remote is this part of it. It looks like it, and this part of it here is the other half. This row of buttons right here are all for specialty things like cutting film. So that's an interesting thing too. Here's the other side of the camera. You can see that. So we got the Olan Mills, the Nation Studio on it. This had a specialty tripod that Olan Mills also built. As you can see here, this thing is a monster. But this is where all the magic happens as far as making it pan, tilt, and zoom. The camera just sits on top. Another clever thing I thought was cool about this camera was these little mechanisms here. I'm not sure if you can see them or not, but you basically set the camera down on in these holes. There's 4 holes here. Then you simply just push these in, and you pull them out when you're ready to remove the camera. Push in, pull out. and that locks it in place. So you can easily, quickly set this thing up. It took me maybe, without knowing what I was doing, because I don't know if I ever set one completely up, but without knowing what I was doing, it took me about 10 minutes to set it up. It's not really difficult. It's pretty intuitive. These cables here plug in. You've got your on-off switch. This is a wing nut thing. It's just, I'm not going to take it off while it's on, but wouldn't be good to disconnect the ground. But anyway, that's the ground wire. I wanted to show you, I forgot to show you this. This camera also was one of the challenges to it. Any portrait camera really is to be able to shoot vertical and horizontal. Okay, so this one, there's a little lever here, you can see right here, that lets you flip it. And you see now in the lens, it's this way. So if you were doing a large group, you'd want to flip it horizontal like that. And then when you're done with the group, you can just flip it back. And it's really easy, I mean, to operate. I mean, it's just barely, I'm doing it with one hand. And going back is a little interesting, but once you get it going, it's okay. The lens, you had different f-stops on this lens. This looks like it went from 3.5 all the way to 16 to 18. So hold it here where you can see it. This is the take-up reel. Okay, so this goes right up in here. Okay, I think I showed you this when we did the camera part, but this goes in here like so, and pushes in there, and then the other one, I can't get it open with one-handedness, but anyway, this is what the film looked like for it. So like this film here, developed before 2007, maybe a little bit past the expiration date on that, but that's okay. So anyway, but another interesting little piece of history there. And they were shooting with Kodak Portra film, color negative, ISO 160, C41 process, just like your Instamatics has been around for 100 years. So any lab could develop this, really. 35 millimeter by 200 foot roll, so it's 61 meters. So, yeah, open in total darkness. Well, I missed that boat too. But anyway, after it was done, and I don't have that out, but you would put it in a box and send it off, mail it back to the plant. The plant would process it. So, but anyway, really cool to get this stuff, see it alive again. And maybe, just maybe, if we can figure out the logistics of it, we may take this camera and do a set or so with it, shoot some stuff with it in 35 millimeter and get it developed and see what happens. So yeah, it's a nice little camera, and it's amazing testament to the engineering of this stuff that it made it this long. And I mean, this has been sitting in a case since, it's been sitting in a case for probably 13 years. So I think 2007 is when she said she got it, and it really never used it. So amazing. That's the thing is works, and all the buttons and bells and whistles. And as far as I know, it's exposing film just like it should. I have another one over here that I used, that I set up last night. That one, I cut film with that one, and it worked just fine. So, I mean, these things are they're workhorses, man. They've been drug around the country. So, I mean, it's just an amazing camera, an amazing feat of engineering, really, that Olan Mills did. And I am so glad that I was able to get two of these and save them from the scrap heap, because this is something that I just don't want to see disappear. All the people that worked on this and all the people that use this camera, everybody I've talked to seems to love this camera. I mean, it was just their favorite camera. And Olan Mills shot with a lot of different cameras. One made this one a little bit unique, of course, was this monitor. Not this monitor, because this is just a television on its side, but the monitor. This is actually the monitor that came with it. And so, yeah. So that one there. Before, I think most of these cameras were either shooting 70, split 70, or 46 millimeter, which means they were expensive to shoot. And depending on how big a picture you're making from a 35 millimeter negative, you can definitely get 11 by 14s out of that pretty easily. So, and that's probably 16 by 20s. And it's probably the more common stuff that we were shooting in those days. So yeah. But yeah, it's an amazing little camera, amazing engineering that went into it. And I'm just really, really super stoked that there is still 2 of these, and they are in my possession, in my garage. So excuse the mess. It's a mess in here. I wasn't expecting to get these, but this is Christmas Eve that I'm doing this on. And my goodness, to me, this is a Christmas miracle. I'm so excited. So, yeah. Anyway, if you have questions about the 108, leave some comments below. Thanks.